2016 saw instability around the globe and a historic presidential election here at home. Those stories and more dominating the headlines in 2016.
Back up.
The year kicked off with an anti-government demonstration. Armed militants took over a federal wildlife refuge in southeastern Oregon. The standoff finally came to an end in mid-February. Marines in Mexico captured the world's most wanted drug lord, El Chapo Guzman, nearly 6 months after the escape from prison. World powers lifted sanctions against Iran after international inspectors announced the country had followed through on the promise to dismantle parts of its nuclear program. President Obama declared a state of emergency over the lead-contaminated water in Flint, Michigan. Nearly a year later, the water is still not safe to drink unfiltered. The conservative Justice Antonin Scalia died in February. President Obama nominated federal Judge Merrick Garland to replace him, but Senate Republicans have refused to schedule his confirmation hearing. The feds got into a legal standoff with Apple after the San Bernardino terror attack. A judge ordered the tech company to unlock the iPhone belonging to one of the killers. The feds later dropped the case, saying they were able to pull data from that phone without Apple's help. In North Carolina, the then governor, Pat McCrory, signed the state's controversial law to limit bathroom options for transgender people. In response, major companies announced their plans to take their business elsewhere. In Baltimore, a judge found police officer Edward Nero not guilty of all charges in the death of Freddie Gray. The case later ended with 0 convictions against officers. The biggest shakeup in recent political history after Donald Trump won enough delegates to clinch the Republican presidential nomination. He later announced Indiana Governor Mike Pence as his running mate. And Hillary Clinton secured the Democratic nomination after an unexpectedly tough challenge from the independent senator from Vermont, Bernie Sanders. She later chose the Virginia Senator Tim Kaine as her vice presidential candidate. The worst mass shooting in modern American history happened in 2016 when a gunman opened fire in a gay nightclub in Orlando, killing 49 people. He died after a shootout with police. Britain shocked the world when it voted to leave the European Union. Financial markets around the globe plunged after the decision. The U.S. Defense Secretary Ash Carter lifted the ban on allowing transgender people to serve openly in the U.S. military. NASA's Juno spacecraft flew into Jupiter's orbit on the 4th of July, giving us our best look yet at the largest planet in the solar system. Back here on Earth, the FBI Director James Comey announced his decision not to file criminal charges against Hillary Clinton. But just days before the election, Director Comey said investigators were reviewing thousands of newly discovered emails that could be related to the case. After reviewing the new emails, Comey said he is still not recommending any charges against Hillary Clinton. The year also saw major attacks targeting law enforcement officers in several cities. The deadliest happened in Dallas. A suspect shot to death 5 officers ambush style during a protest against police violence. Officials in Florida announced the first locally transmitted cases of the Zika virus here in the United States. The feds have since warned pregnant women to avoid parts of the Miami area. Nearly 300 people died after a powerful 6.2 magnitude earthquake hit central Italy, bringing down buildings and trapping people under debris. Here in the United States, a series of attacks just hours apart. Investigators say a suspect stabbed 10 people at a mall in St. Cloud, Minnesota. An off-duty cop later shot the suspect and killed him. That same weekend, handmade bombs exploded in areas of New York City and New Jersey, injuring nearly 30 people. Police later arrested that suspect after a shootout. The feds banned the Samsung Galaxy Note 7 cell phone from all U.S. flights after reports the smartphone can overheat and burst into flames. Samsung also announced it would stop selling that phone entirely. A massive hack attack on the internet shut down access to major websites across the nation. The cyber attack targeted a company that manages crucial parts of the web. Donald Trump pulled off perhaps the biggest political upset in history, winning the election to become the country's 45th president. The billionaire and former reality TV star won the Electoral College, but lost the popular vote to Hillary Clinton. Fidel Castro died at the age of 90. The dictator ruled Cuba for half a century. President-elect Trump has called on the island country to improve its human rights record, threatening to reverse President Obama's work to normalize relations with Cuba. And the year closed out with a tragedy here at home. Dozens of people died after a fire broke out at a warehouse in Oakland, California, where crowds had gathered for a concert. City officials said they had already been investigating that warehouse for code violations. Looking ahead to 2017, President-elect Trump begins his first year in office. The whole country waiting to see how he follows through on his promise to make America great again and his pledge to drain the swamp of corruption in Washington, D.C. We'll keep a close eye on the fight against ISIS and the civil war in Syria. Of course, we'll be here for all of it. In New York, I'm Shepard Smith, Fox News.